All right, viewers. So my name again, Jewel Wade. I have around 15 years of experience working within technology and also finance. For today, we have a wonderful guest. So with me today, I have Amoye Henry. She's an MBA, she's an investor, she's an entrepreneur, she's a venture capitalist, she's also a mom, and numerous titles to add on to that. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to have Amoy speak a little bit, and introduce herself to the audience and just talk a little bit more, so we can get some insight into that. So Amoy, appreciate the time again. If you could just tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Jewel, for having me on your platform. My name is Amoye Henry. I'm an investor, I'm a builder and global consultant. I'm also a mom, as Jewel mentioned, and I'm a believer in the potential of people and their greatness.
So Amoy, appreciate that insight in terms of, giving us a little bit about, your background. What was your journey? If you could talk a little bit about that.
Great question. So like most millennials, I don't really have a straight and narrow path towards my career and sort of my life journey. I have gone down many paths. I did my undergrad at McMaster University, where I majored in political science and communications. I initially had elaborate visions of being a human rights lawyer and fighting for the people, fighting for my people and for the culture. After completing university and worked in healthcare for some time, I looked at healthcare as like a really important industry to be in. But in healthcare, you're helping people live healthier, experience a better quality of life. So as much as I wasn't an entrepreneur, I knew that everything that I did in healthcare counted, and it went towards improving people's quality of life and their existence. And so I went from sort of wanting to do my path as a lawyer to going into project management in the healthcare space, and then stakeholder engagement at the government, provincial level, and then I decided to be an entrepreneur. Thereafter, I continued in my path as a consultant. I worked with a variety of different clients. So I was working with the government, I was advising small business owners, I was advising talent who are sort of in the entertainment, media, arts space during and after sort of my university tenure through my third business called Afro Chic. And Afro Chic is a festival and a gathering of people of color, and it happened annually since 2010 until 2019. Unfortunately, kind of put to a pause because of the pandemic. It was a huge platform that I was able to develop with my high school best friends. We went on and wanted to create spaces for the Black women, people of color, really to galvanize ideas, creativity, and sort of celebrate, right? And celebrate and present art, present our works, present our latest contributions to the culture.
Yeah, so Amoy, I like the fact that you touched on, how that journey was, right? So from working within that job to figure it out, I can maximize my potential by being an entrepreneur. So, I appreciate that insight. So if we look at Afro Chic, FoundHers, and PitchBetter, what inspired you to, create those businesses? And also, how's the journey been for that?
So Afro Chic, PitchBetter, and FoundHers, they are literally like a response to my lived experience. Afro Chic at the time, there was, back in the early 2010s, media didn't necessarily represent Black women to the fullest extent that it does today. We also kind of off the back of sort of the natural hair movement, having natural hair wasn't necessarily accepted in the workplace, in corporate environments where we were just doing our everyday thing like everyone else. And so how do we converge those worlds, like our professional lives, our culture, and really just own who we are and celebrate that? And that's kind of the thesis behind Afro Chic, if you will. And so spawned into so much more than just hair and Blackness and representation, and became sort of economic liberation for artists, creators, cultivators, And we had just been traveling to conferences and events a lot of the times in the States, here in Canada. And at the time I had just lightly been making my way into Africa and Europe. And we were underwhelmed with the events that we were seeing. The ladies' brunches and all of these things were just the same kind of who's who, and you can't sit with us, and we're just here in these fancy name brand dresses with these fancy name brand, and we're just talking about how successful we are and how happy we made it, and sisterhood and this and this and this. But how did you make it? Well, how do Black people actually scale their businesses and become successful? And we are also women, we are also humans, and if this is diversity funding, why did we, as the most marginalized, among the most marginalized, alongside Indigenous women, why weren't we aware, privy to this type of funding? On the private side as well, where there's very much, okay, I have my success, I have what I have, but I don't need to tell you. You just need to buy a $300, $400 ticket to my brunch and come and smile. And if you want to be in the in crowd, get ready to drop those bags and those checks, because in order to make money, you have to look like you have money and you have to be amongst those with money. And we were just like, nah. So PitchBetter literally is a program that is specifically designed to help women pitch better. It's literally the basics, the business fundamentals. How do you write a business plan? How do you structure a business plan? How do you analyze or create your own P&L statements, profit and loss statements, and are incorporating technologies that can basically do what a human can only do once, 10, 15, 100, a million times, and quicker and faster? And how do we build these businesses that can attract 1 million users and generate $1 billion in revenue? There's so many different platforms now in technology that we can actually incorporate into our businesses and build and build these scalable technologies to write ourselves out of our own businesses, right? And have these entities now that can generate millions and millions of dollars and attract millions and millions of users.
Yeah, so Amoy, you providing that information in terms of funding that is accessible. I didn't know there was $30 million, slushing around there, which is, available for entrepreneurs. So, appreciate that. But going back to venture capital and private equity, why did you take that path? Like, why venture capital and why private equity?
So great questions. I believe that for me, the desire to go down the path of venture capital really just was birthed from me pursuing my MBA, understanding and really getting excited about the idea of the science behind money, the science behind access to money. And I recognize that some of the most successful businesses were backed by venture. And so I differentiate, some people may not, but I personally differentiate venture capital from private equity truly based on the companies. So I see venture capital as sort of supporting companies that are very early stage. And when you look at venture, those check sizes can be as low as $250,000 up to 25, 50 million, depending on their pre-money valuation. When we talk about private equity, that is for more later stage mature companies that have demonstrated traction in the market, demonstrate returns. Private equity investor will now come in and acquire them or purchase a large amount of shares in them to be able to, do whatever they plan to do.
All right. So Amoy, I like the fact that you gave us an overview of the different stages and the different journey when it comes to venture capital. What are some of the challenges that you face?
Challenges. Like every industry, for people that look like us, sometimes the industry is not necessarily built to welcome us or invite us. And just historically speaking, we unless you're coming from a family that is, from a wealthy family, or you received a large inheritance, it is a very hard industry to penetrate because it is cash focused. It's focused on having access to a lot of resources. And so what I've seen as not necessarily a challenge, but an opportunity is really just understanding how to make the most of the resources that I do have and how to manage relationships with those who have the resources that I need to be able to get access to make investments. People give money to people who they're comfortable with and who they recognize, who they went to school with, who is, a family of a family member or a friend of a family member. And so that's kind of why you see the money kind of stay in the same pots, and rarely does it trickle out into other communities. So I think what's important for us also build those important relationships, those long-standing networks that are really rooted in shared values, shared systems, and a shared understanding that when we win together, we go further. This is why I just have so much respect, and I feel so lucky and so privileged to sort of be here at this nexus, at this particular time when there's so much, evolution and cultural dialogue happening around venture capital and accessibility in our communities.
Yeah, so Amoy, you touched on receiving capital and fundraising and everything, and I think skin in the game is extremely important, right? Putting up your own capital, bootstrapping as an example, and then going out there and requesting capital. So I think that's a good point that you make. So if we're looking at the landscape, how do you see the landscape for Black entrepreneurs, and what is the impact of investing in Africa?
Ooh, some double question. So the landscape for Black entrepreneurship, for me, I would say is promising. Black people are innovating. We've always been such an innovative group, but we're innovating in ways like no other with the insurgence of AI and blockchain technologies, and just building businesses at scale has been easier because we're working across regional boundaries now, and we're not operating in such silos. And I think it's magnificent to witness because there are lower barriers to entry in some tech types of industries, rather than like getting into something like medicine or law, where you would need to complete a degree, or you would need to, find the money for tuition and all these things. Social media is showing us as well, like it has kind of taken the cloth from our eyes now and really given us the ability to see things for what they are. So on a personal level, investing in Africa has been life-changing. Like it has changed my perspective of myself and my propensity for risk, because these are, a lot of times high risk businesses, but it's increased my tolerance, and it has allowed me to see innovation at unimaginable levels. I'm really excited about that, and I feel like the benefit really is in watching change catalyze in real time and humans solving problems. Not always governments, not always these elite people at the top, but people on the ground solving problems that you can witness and you can celebrate.
Yeah, so Amoy, I love the passion that you showed in terms of talking about investing in Africa and some of the opportunities that are there. So if we look, towards the future, for you, what does the future look like? And then if you could also speak about some of the success stories that you've been a part of.
So thank you for asking that. I just completed the first cohort of my accelerator here in Canada called FoundHers Innovation Labs, founders.vc for those who want to check it out. And we had a number of incredible case studies that went through our first cohort in partnership with Accenture, Women and Gender Equality Canada, as well as Canadian Women's Foundation. We executed a really brilliant technology accelerator to support Black women in tech. I'll talk about 3 startups that really are, doing some disruptive and cool work. Yeah, so there's one, I'll talk about 3 founders that really stood out to me in my mind. There's Moon Trades by Dr. Winta Ghebreyesus. She just defended her PhD at Toronto Metropolitan University, and her focus is aerospace mining. So she's an engineer, and she's built autonomous rovers that actually deploy into space and extract materials from the space and come back to solve some of Earth's depletion challenges, right? As far as minerals and certain things that we need for Earth to survive. And she's an exciting founder, so we're really excited about her. She's raising $2.5 million at a pre-money valuation of $10 million. And she just completed our demo day in New York City, which was super exciting, at Accenture Manhattan head offices. We also are really excited about another founder. Her name is Kemi Bolatito. She's from Edmonton, Alberta, and her company is called Schooly. So what it is a platform for immigration consultants, for international students, learners to access international immigration consultants that helps them get into different markets. Another business that I'm quite excited about as well is by Asha Wilden, called Kula Foods. So Asha is a founder based in Vancouver, BC, and she has built an incredible food brand. And now she's actually selling her products in Whole Foods, and recently just signed a supplier agreement with Fortino's. And she's going into the United States next year. She's got a deal in California, so we're really excited about those.
Appreciate all the insight that you've provided so far. So when you look towards the future, I guess, what does that look like for you in terms of the ecosystem and the landscape? And then also, where can people find you and connect with you?
So I'm not a prophet or a psychic or anything, but I do see this notion of sort of decentralized systems being used to revolutionize and democratize access, because, the playing field is leveling out, right? It's just the natural order of things. And I think, there will be sort of more opening up of liquid. There'll be more access. Independent people will be participating more fluidly in the ecosystem without these barriers to entry, without these gatekeepers. So I see global liquidity pools, people pulling together resources. As far as where people can find me, I'm on social media. So I'm on Instagram, Twitter or X, LinkedIn, and my website, Amoye Henry. So super simple, AMOYEHENRY. And my website, amoyhenry.com, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever, Amoye Henry. And then for some of the work that I'm doing, I am the general partner for FoundHers Ventures, which is an investment vehicle, a fund for Black and Brown women in the world, but domiciled in Canada. So that's foundhers.bc. And I'm a consultant. I'm a global consultant on a climate and energy venture studio and fund based in Central Africa called Emerge Venture Studio. So that's my baby. That's kind of like my new initiative in Africa. And so Emerge is really a climate studio, venture studio that's going to be helping entrepreneurs locally solve climate challenges in the DRC. So super excited about that. And just overall, just wanting to connect with people who love being Black, love Black excellence. I've traveled all across Africa, and I'm really excited to continue that.
I appreciate it. So Amoy, thanks again for the time. And I'll also drop some of the links down below, so viewers will be able to connect with you, and lots of good things in store for 2024.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.